"I suppose you've never had anything to do with the theatre from the inside before?" she said. "Never. That's why I was so crazy to get this job. You can't think how it thrills me." Michael and Julia smiled on him kindly. His admiration made them feel a little larger than life size. "I never allow outsiders to come to rehearsals, but as you are accountant, you must belong to the theatre, and I wouldn't mind making an exception in your favor if it would amuse you to come." "That would be terribly kind of you. I've never been to a rehearsal in my life. Are you going to act in the next play?" "Oh, I don't think so. I'm not very keen about acting any more. I find it almost impossible to find a part to suit me. You see, at my time of life I can't very well play young lovers, and authors don't seem to write the parts they used to write when I was a young fellow. What the French call a raisonneur. You know the sort of thing I mean, a duke or a cabinet minister or an eminent K.C. who says clever, witty things and turns people round his little finger. I don't know what's happened to authors. They don't seem able to write good lines anymore. Bricks without straw, that's what we actors are expected to make nowadays. And are they grateful to us? The authors, I mean. You'd be surprised if I told you the terms some of them have the nerve to ask. The fact remains we can't do without them," smiled Julia. "If the play's wrong, no acting in the world will save it. That's because the public isn't really interested in the theatre. In the great days of the English stage, people didn't go to see the plays. They went to see the players. It didn't matter what Kemble and Miss Siddons acted. The public went to see them. And even now, though I don't deny that if the play's wrong you're dished, I do contend that if the play's right, it's the actors the public go to see, not the play." "I don't think anyone can deny that," said Julia. "All an actress like Julia wants is a vehicle. Give her that, and she'll do the rest." Julia gave the young man a delightful but slightly deprecating smile. "You mustn't take my husband too seriously. I'm afraid we must admit that he's partial where I'm concerned. Unless this young man is a much bigger fool than I think him, he must know that there's nothing in the way of acting that you can't do." "Ugh, that's only an idea that people have got because I take care never to do anything but what I can do." Presently Michael looked at his watch. "I think when you've finished your coffee, young man, we ought to be going." The boy gulped down what was left in his cup, and Julia rose from the table. "You won't forget my photograph?" "I think there's some in Michael's den. Come along and we'll choose one." She took him into a fair-sized room behind the dining room, though it was supposed to be Michael's private sitting room. A fellow wants a room where he can get away by himself and smoke his pipe. It was chiefly used as a cloakroom when they had guests. There was a noble mahogany desk on which were signed photographs of George V and Queen Mary. Over the chimney-piece was an old copy of Lawrence's portrait of Kemble as Hamlet. On a small table was a pile of typescript plays. The room was surrounded by bookshelves under which were cupboards, and from one of these Julia took a bundle of her latest photographs. She handed one to the young man. "This one is not so bad." "It's lovely." "Then it can't be as like me as I thought." "But it is. It's exactly like you." She gave him another sort of smile, just a trifle roguish. She lowered her eyelids for a second, and then raising them, gazed at him for a little with that soft of expression that people described as her velvet look. She had no object in doing this. She did it, if not mechanically, from an instinctive desire to please. The boy was so young, so shy. He looked as if he had such a nice nature, and she would never see him again. She wanted him to have his money's worth. She wanted him to look back on this as one of the great moments of his life. She glanced at the photograph again. She liked to think she looked like that. The photographer had so posed her, with her help, as to show her at her best. Her nose was slightly thick, but he had managed by his lighting to make it look very delicate. Not a wrinkle marred the smoothness of her skin, and there was a melting look in her fine eyes. "All right, you shall have this one. You know I'm not a very beautiful woman. I'm not even a very pretty one. Coqueline always used to say I had the Beauté du diable. You understand French, don't you? Enough for that. I'll sign it for you. She sat at the desk and with her bold, flowing hand wrote, Yours sincerely, Julia Lambert.